G'day, my name's Graham. Not that that matters so much. We're just another anonymous person amongst all the ordinary people of the world, getting quite concerned why the leaders of the world have all gone quite mad. You see, Al Gore, let's take this gentleman, would have been the President of America, didn't make it anyway. He starts a scare campaign about climate change because he's scared, because he has this morbid fear of the climate changing, which is an extremely natural event. He has then extrapolated that fear onto society. He wants society to share this unnatural fear. It's sort of if you like saying we want to stop climate changing, it's like saying we want to change the sky from blue to green. Without the climate changing, I should inform Mr. Gore, I don't know the man, I can't make him out. He talks clever, but when he speaks, it's basically gibberish, because he looks so frightened when he made the speech that all the world's going to end because the climate might change and it will be uninhabitable for human beings. I thought maybe, I don't know where he lives in, by the way, in America, maybe he's never been outside of that town and he thinks all the world is just like his town, and he doesn't realise that in all the world, the billions of people live here, all live in different climate zones. They're relatively happy depending on the government of the day, not necessarily the climate. Usually it's the government, the organisational skills of the people involved that affect the livelihood and existence of humanity far more than climates. Climates do cause disruptions, and tsunamis and volcanoes come along, and they've always happened. It's not going to change. Ice ages come along, wiped out ancient civilizations, no one wants to talk about, but you see, you can't stop the climate change by shoving wind generators up. You can't stop the tectonic movements that lift the earth. The earth is sort of plastic, and it's as the one tectonic plate goes under another and stuff like that, it causes convolutions in the earth's crust which go up and down a bit, and that causes the seas to rise one place. You may get seas to rise one place, but you may get seas lowered at the same time at another place, which we can see that in Vanuatu itself. There's examples on an island called Tanna to show you people think the seas are going lower. In Tanna, in Vanuatu, you can see for yourself, the people there think, oh, the seas are going lower. That's what they think. They don't think the sea's rising. So it all depends on where on your planet and how much well you understand geography itself and about the world works, whether you're frightened by a bit of climate change. Well, climate change is normal. As I said, you have to live on the moon if you don't want climate change at all. If you imagine you can change it, well, I start to get a bit loopy after a while when saying living in fear. I'm living in fear of the climate change, living in fear of the devil, living in fear of the... it's like biblical prophecy. They want to make this biblical prophecy and put it into children who have no comprehension about the globe itself, because they've never been taught it by teachers. They haven't been given the benefit of a good education in global biophysics or global geography or all that sort of things, which would then give the kids insight into, a practical insight into the actual fact that humans adapt to the different circumstances, environmental circumstances all over the world, and they adapt as the climate changes. You can't adapt before the climate changes into something because you don't know what the change will be. So it's like getting ready. I'm going to the dance and putting a ballroom suit on. You go there, a fancy suit and tie, you go there, it's full of hippies all dressed in rags and tags and whatever. It's like that. You can't, I'm going to go to the climate change, well, you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah, it's like turning up a party of stoners with booze or something. It won't work. It doesn't work. You don't know what you're going to get until the climate changes. So trying to force people through economic means which enriches the few like Al Gore, impoverishes the many, it's only making if the climate, let's say the climate was changing, it makes it possible the negative effects of that change far worse on a far greater number of people, impoverished that weren't poor before, but now are getting poorer because of the panic, the absolute poor Mr. I feel sorry for Mr. Gore. He must lay at night time, and every time the wind rattles his roof or it rains, he must panic and hide in a cupboard. He must say no, and maybe he asks his wife to comfort him and say, poor Al, settle down, it's just a wind, Al, you know, we've had wind before, we've had rain before, you've had snow before and all those things, Al, you know, this is just part of nature. Maybe, I don't know, his wife, maybe she's got more, women have got more sense, used to have more sense than men, till they all started joining these greeny and sort of lefty wing men with climate change, and women sort of went off the rails as well and joined them, and it didn't make sense, did it? At all, really. Women no longer have the common sense to say, hey, don't be silly, we can't change climate, you know, it's all down to Mother Nature, we're part of Mother Nature, we must follow our natural instincts to survive. And if you undermine the whole economy of all people in Europe and Australia and America through this perversion of the economic system, through trying to change climate, especially in Australia where they've gone off the boil when it comes to energy costs, and they're causing an economic catastrophe, trying to pretend they're preventing a climate catastrophe. They're causing an economic catastrophe, and they haven't even got the technology right. Anyway, they're ignoring the advanced technology, trying to sell us things that do nothing other than cause CO2 when they manufacture. So you can see, when it comes to climate change, the absolute panic I saw in Al Gore's face when he made that speech about the end of the earth speech he made. He looked so scared. The man looked like he was just about to be pushed off a cliff, like a bloke would look if he was going to get pushed off a cliff. That's what Al Gore liked. And all the other leaders of the world must think, oh God, there would have been President of America. Looks like he's so scared he's going to be gored by a bull or something like that, burnt in a roast or something like that. We all better follow him because we all better panic like he is. And they all panicked and rushed off into the middle of nowhere, and now the people are catching up with them and saying, hang on a minute, what about us? What about our basic economic needs, and what about the needs of the kids that are going to be destroyed by the climate change policies, destroying the economic ability of society to solve the problems that basically shifts in weather cause. If you create a massive deficit for the people, how then can they go through any changes, Mr. Gore? So when you're using children to propagate fear into children and using them as pawns for what is a political campaign against whoever you're campaigning against, you're campaigning against ordinary people with common sense who are trying to say, what on earth are you panicking about? What on earth is this bloke panicking? Why is he panicking? Why am I not panicking? And suggest I don't understand climate change means, you know, let's debate that if one of us who does not and doesn't understand climate change. It is an evolutionary event. Unless you understand evolution, which I doubt if Mr. Gore does, he may, if he does not, then he cannot understand what climate change is all about. It's about adaptation as the event arises, but it's changed the economic niche. You cannot change it before. By all means, reduce the smog and the pollution and the particulates in the air so people have a healthy life, but CO2 is no way is it a pollution. If it was a really bad pollution, then all those years of people sitting in traffic jams all over the world will be dying by now because of CO2 poisoning if it was a pollution. Because that's the greatest concentration of CO2 is its traffic jams in cities. But there's no, that's it really. The traffic jams in cities are the greatest cause of CO2 concentrations. Are the people dying of CO2 poisoning in their cities? No. The trees grow better at the side of the road, that's all. That's all. So really, what does it all mean? It means the people have been got into a panic because Al Gore panicked when he had this vision. He must have been on a trip or something. He had this massive biblical vision. He thought the end of the world was coming. He looked terrified in that video I saw him make that speech. He looked absolutely terrified. And I thought, well, poor man, I felt sorry for him. And he looked like he's going to fall over a cliff or something like that, or someone had told he got a bad disease or something like that. So I have to feel sorry for the man. It's just a shame that everyone followed this down this path we've gone without considering maybe there's better use for the money, like cheaper housing for people, you know, cheaper food, and how about better wages for people in general. The trillions of dollars wasted. How about putting people's wages up and stuff like that instead? Surely they'll be happier now than worry about what people are like 50, 60 years from now. That's sort of weird to think, oh, we're caring about people 50, 60 years from now, but not giving a damn about the people here and now. Bit odd, that one. It's a bit odd, that one. But anyway, just thought I'd have this little rant and wonder why Mr. Gore looked so afraid when he made that speech.